Coming up on Look Today, well, the State Assembly Republican Conference released the findings of a domestic violence task force. I've got details. Plus, community members gathered outside Congresswoman Elise Stefanik's office, calling for her to support the Dreamers Act. More on that coming up. And a group of people draped jockey statues in front of the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame in Saratoga with Confederate flags. I've got those details. All ahead on Look Today. Welcome, everyone. I'm J. Hood Jackson, and this is Look Today. On tonight's program, I sit down with Taylin Markham, Jared Wachtel, and Sarah Hojnicki, and their three Boston Spa middle school students. And they're here to talk about their roles in the school's upcoming production of Shrek the Musical. Great interview. I also sit down with Marty Vonnegues. Speaking of great, the president of the Saratoga County Prosperity Partnership, joined by Kevin Headley. He's the new board chair of the partnership. And they're here to talk about the importance of economic development and the collaboration between the public and the private sectors. Plus, we've got your weather for the Tri-North counties. But first, these headline stories. Well, in our lead story, the State Assembly Republican Conference released the findings of a domestic violence task force. The report is a culmination of information gathered from a statewide tour on the domestic violence crisis issue. Now, as a response, the State Assembly will introduce a comprehensive package of bills with solutions to address the issues that they uncovered. Now, among the speakers who spoke on this was Saratoga County District Attorney Karen Hagan.
We need to end domestic violence. It has been going on for way too long, and this work moves us forward. It provides us with the templates that we need so that victims can say, they're helping me. Many victims turn back around and walk out of our doors because they don't feel that collective support. And that's what I think this report will provide for us. So thank you for this work. It is critical, it is necessary, and it must be done, and it must be done now.
Yeah, important issue for sure. In other news, well, community members gathered outside Congresswoman Elise Stefanik's office yesterday. And they called on her to support an act that would protect dreamers. Now, as you probably know, dreamers are undocumented migrants who arrived into the U.S. as children. Now, under DACA, which is the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, these dreamers, quote unquote, were given protection. The current administration is threatening to remove this protection. Well, 21st Congressional District constituents are calling for Congresswoman Stefanik to support protecting them. Now, if the act is repealed, approximately 800,000 people will or would be threatened with deportation. Now, we were at the demonstration where we spoke to a 21st congressional candidate who will be running against Stefanik this year. His name is Ronald Kim, and we spoke to him about his thoughts about DACA.
These are, for the most part, model citizens that have essentially been here, have been productive, have worked, and now for us to try to exclude them or potentially deport them, that's really un-American. And so I'm hopeful that what has been struck by the Senate and what's happening down in D.C. will eventually do that. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed, because in the end, America's greater when we include people, not exclude them.
Well said. Demonstrations, by the way, we found out took place all throughout the 21st Congressional District in front of Elise Stefanik's offices. Now, we spoke to Corey Ellis. He's a political coordinator for New York State Nurses Association.
It's showing that this is not just an issue that they can sweep under the rug, that people do care about this, and there's large numbers of coalitions that are fighting together to say, do the right thing, step up, take care of our citizens in the United States, and they're not asking for anything that's not fair. It's fair to take care of the people that are here. They should not be here thinking and wondering what's going to happen to them tomorrow.
Now, I was in contact with Congresswoman Stefanik's office yesterday and today about this, and they are aware of it, and they are certainly trying to work their way through it, is what they said. Switching from news to weather, expect temperatures to decline later in the week for a more detailed look at our weather. Let's head to the Glens Falls Weather Center for a look at your first forecast.
Thank you, Jesse. I'm meteorologist Clarence Sponsor with your First Look TV weather update. National map shows tonight high pressure now into the mid-Atlantic. Also a second high pressure over southeast Quebec. Also this stationary front cross ports to the Midwest, followed by a cold front and include boundaries through the eastern Rockies. That means we're in for some cold times thanks to high pressure. That's going to suppress the atmosphere of any cloud cover, and without that much cloud cover, you're going to see those radiation really escape, the solar radiation escape. So we'll cool down to 3 in Clifton Park, 2 in Saratoga Springs and Greenwich, 0 in Whitehall, Glens Falls, 1 degree above 0 with portions to our northwest part of the Capital District below 0. And we'll see mostly clear skies. Winds will go calm, so not that much of a wind chill, but still in for a cold day on Friday. 28 the afternoon high and very cold walking out the door under mostly sunny skies. 3 to 8 degrees, air temp above 0. We'll see a 20% rain chance on Saturday. We warm up to 44 degrees. Then those lower 40s continue with rain and snow chances Sunday. Rain and snow chances continue Monday as that new cold front passes before we're back to harsh winter conditions with a high of 21 degrees with an overnight low of 12, partial sunshine and northerly winds on Tuesday. That was your First Look weather update. I'm meteorologist Clarence Sponsor. Now I send it back to you, Jesse.
Thanks very much, Clarence. All right, back to the news. Here's a story that's unfolding, but we wanted to make you aware of it. A group of people draped jockey statues in front of the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame in Saratoga with Confederate flags. Now, the flags were promptly removed early this morning. Now, those behind the incident have stated that the statues are symbols of racism. Now, the protesters are urging the museum to remove the jockeys and include a darker-skinned jockey exhibit within the museum. Now, it's still a little confusing to us as to what this is all about. But the museum has responded by saying that the jockey statues do not carry racial overtones and that this incident is an act of vandalism. Now, we contacted the museum today, but they were unable to comment. But we are going to talk to them tomorrow, and we'll update you at that time. Up next, I sit down with Talon Markham, Jared Wachtel, and Sarah Hojnicki. I'm sorry about the mispronunciations. They're 3 Ballston Spa Middle School students, and they're here to talk about their roles in the school's upcoming production of Shrek the Musical. Just a great interview. I also sit down with Marty Vonnegs. He's the president of the Saratoga County Prosperity Partnership. And we're joined by Kevin Headley. He's the new board chair of that partnership. They're here to talk about the importance of collaboration and economic development between the public and private sectors. But first, if you've seen what's happening, you want to share a story idea, how about join us for an interview? Then give us a call on the hotline. The number is 798-8000. Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Look Today. I've got a couple of lookouts for tonight. I want a reminder that there's an important meeting that's taking place tomorrow in Warren County regarding tourism and the occupancy tax and how that money is spent to market the region. As you probably know if you follow this program, we're going to be chasing this story because there are a lot of people involved and a lot of issues involved with this. Also, I just want to mention, we're not exactly sure what's going on with this story at the Saratoga Racing Museum, but we're going to chase that down also. There's a disconnect on this one someplace, and draping these statues and flags is not a very cool thing, as many of you, I'm sure, would agree. And last but not least, you know, we cover a lot of events here at Look Media, and we've been following these demonstrations in front of our Congresswoman's office, and Andrew and I were talking about it. This was a very substantive one. Not that the others aren't important, but sometimes with the masks and all the other things, it could take you away from the substance of what they're talking about. A lot of people showed up for this, and many of them are very articulate in their feelings about protecting dreamers, those children of immigrants. So we're going to be following that story as well. Last but not least, tonight is Sold. That's our call-in auction program. Roger is back in fine form. You don't want to miss it. And don't forget, tune in tomorrow night for the stories that matter to you. Good night, everyone.